So I have a confession to make. I feel like this is a safe space to really, you know, be my true self. There is no safer space than the internet. So I think I can say my truth right now, right here, right now. I never knew what Gwen Stefani was saying on this song. What you waiting for? I knew the chorus. I knew the bridge, part of the bridge. But if it was the actual bridge, I wouldn't have made it to the other side. Okay? Because I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. In terms of not enunciating words in a song, I feel like Gwen Stefani walked so Ariana Grande and SZA could run. But you know what? That didn't stop me from enjoying the music video. What you waiting, what you wait, What You Waiting For was the lead single off of Gwen Stefani's debut album, Love Angel Music Baby. Released in 2004, it remains, in my opinion, one of the best music videos of the 2000s. The fashions, the Alice in Wonderland storyline, the lyrics, the controversy around her use of Japanese culture. We'll address that later. Okay, before we get into breaking down the visuals behind this music video, let's look into, you know, what was Gwen going through at the time. So at the time, Gwen Stefani was the lead singer of the band No Doubt. No doubt you've heard of them. They make like ska, punk, pop, rock type of music. But in 2003, the band decided to take a little break. She had never written music with anyone outside of her bandmates. And so the prospect of doing that was intimidating and brought up a lot of insecurities around her talent, her ability to write music. There were all other songwriters in the room writing better music than her. And she also seemed to be lacking in inspiration at the time. Plus, homegirl had just gotten married and was fresh off a tour, so she was tired. She wanted to sleep. Even the way she talked about transitioning into her solo career was interesting. For example, she says in an MTV interview going behind the scenes of the music video, "No, I'm not doing a solo record because if I was gonna do a solo record, it would mean that I would be pouring my heart out and it would be the real Gwen. But this is actually less of me than I've ever been because I'm actually letting all these other people into my world and trying on all their clothes and trying their music and melodies." From this quote, there's almost a sense of her feeling a little lost in her creativity. She wanted to make a solo record, but as she describes it, she didn't really know why she wanted to make a solo record. For this song, Gwen worked with singer-songwriter Linda Perry. So the song is about the time constraints her label put her under to create the song and her inner monologue as she tries to overcome her writer's block and insecurities around creating music outside of No Doubt. She has to make music now while she's still young and relevant. But the song is also about being a woman and having a certain amount of time before you're considered too old to be a pop star and too old to be a mother. And the tick-tock part of the song, that's supposed to be the ticking of her biological clock. This song came out when I was a child. Now that I'm an adult, I can confirm that clock is loud. Do I need to take it to a watchmaker? Like, it's just noisy is all. Can I put it on snooze? It's a little disruptive. That's all I'm saying. Let's get into the visuals, shall we? So the music video was directed by Francis Lawrence, and I don't mean just any old Francis Lawrence. I'm talking about the Francis Lawrence who directed 4 out of 5 Hunger Games movies. Yes, he has a very long resume of music videos also, but he was up in there with Katniss and Peeta and them. Gail. But Katniss and Peeta and them, the boy with the bread, the girl with the arrow. He also directed 2007's I Am Legend and 2011's Water for Elephants. All of these movies, as well as others in his filmography, were adapted from existing source material, whether that was books, comics, graphic novels. You see, dear viewer, Francis is just like me. He loves a good old book to movie adaptation. He's got his library card. Trust me. Although he can probably afford to not have one, but anyways, he loves an adaptation. So the fact that he ended up directing a music video based on a movie, which was based on a book, fascinating. Illuminating, even, some may say. Some may say I'm some. That's me. I'm saying it. So the music video visuals are primarily taking inspiration from the 1956 animated film Alice in Wonderland, which was an adaptation of two Lewis Carroll books, 1865's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and the 1871 sequel Through the Looking Glass. These books are old. Let's just go through the music video. I'm gonna give you the play-by-play. I'm gonna give you the storyline. You know, consider this an audiobook. In the video, she's come off of her tour. She's tired. But her record label's like, honey, let's get in the studio. Gwen is in the studio. She's struggling to be inspired until she finds a bulletin board with an advertisement for overcoming writer's block. Where do I gotta go to find one of those? She goes to this office. She starts to sign the paperwork to do this overcoming writer's block thing. She asks the lady there, hey, when do I pay you? And the woman responds, girl, you pay when you finish. And Gwen is like, well, how do I know I finished? And then she looks up and the lady's gone. She's back in the studio and she hears the sound of a clock ticking. Then there's like a porcelain bunny on the piano that starts running towards her, and that's when we get into Wonderland. So in the early parts of the video, Gwen is wearing this yellow top with these white embroidered flowers. Interestingly enough, yellow is associated with creativity and optimism, but historically is also associated with cowardice. Yellow actually has a surprisingly messed up history. Like if yellow was a person, yellow would have gotten canceled. Okay, and canceled for real, not like that play canceled. The phrase yellow bellied can be used to describe someone who is a coward. This ties in perfectly with where Gwen is in the video. She wants to be creative, but she's also afraid, doubtful, ironic because she was in No Doubt, but whatever. She's also wearing low-rise cargo pants, very early 2000s, and Vivienne Westwood bondage boots from the Spring Summer 2002 collection.
That is Spring Summer.
Okay.
September Spring shows Spring Summer.
These boots featured like an animal motif, as you can see on the toes. Looks like a paw print. According to the Vivienne Westwood website, these revealed a likeness to fawns or even the lion's paw of a mythical creature. There is a sexual tension between the shoes and the body beneath as the foot appears to press its imprint into the leather. You know, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland wouldn't be quite so adventurous without her interactions with, you know, a cat, rabbit, a caterpillar. Alice in Wonderland is really about why zoos should be abolished. In this essay, I will. PETA hates to see Alice in Wonderland coming, girl, because why is this human messing with these animals? Anyways, Wonderland is really a zoo. So the choice to style her in these animal-toed shoes was very intentional. The stylist, by the way, for this music video was Andrea Lieberman. Andrea, you ate that. You did. The bondage boots were also meant to evoke thoughts of restriction. Once you unstrap the outer buckles of the boot, it reveals shoelaces beneath. So you could say that before Gwen is even transported into Wonderland, the shoes already tell you what's to come. Freedom from self-restriction and lots of animals. Around her neck, Gwen is wearing a necklace with these like old English lettering. And this is a font style that Gwen would continue to use for music videos to come, for brands to come. You know, she had a clothing line, she had a perfume. Her favorite designers were English. Vivienne Westwood and John Galliano. We'll get into him. Give me a second. So in the next scene, Gwen is laying in a maze, having completely fell down the rabbit hole into Wonderland. This shot in the music video seems to play with proportions, with her arms looking really short, her legs looking really long. In the Alice in Wonderland movie, Alice, you know, she liked her little drinky drink, and she used to drink concoctions that would either make her bigger or make her smaller, and I used to want to tell her stop eating. Sorry. I actually don't like Alice in Wonderland. I actually hate that movie. But I love this music video, so it's a bit of a conundrum. It's a bit of a play on opposites, which Alice in Wonderland plays on inside of this music video. We'll get to it. Hold on. Stop trying to rush me. The play on her proportions adds to the surrealism of the music video that you saw in the film. And she's also wearing the signature blue and white Alice costume, but styled in a more, you know, Gwen Stefani way. Less Spirit Halloween and a little bit more high fashion. There are also these like graphic flowers used throughout the video, I guess to give it more of a fantasy storybook feel. It also makes it feel very like early 2000s in a way. In this part of the music video, you also see a Harajuku girl dressed as a bunny. Oh, right. I haven't explained the Harajuku girls. Let's get into that right now. So the Harajuku Girls were Gwen's 4 backup dancers. They appeared in live performances, music videos, and they also accompanied Gwen to, you know, red carpets. They were basically like her entourage. Their stage names were Love, Angel, Music, and Baby, which was from her album title and also became the name of Gwen's clothing line as well. They were Maya Chino, who was Love, Jennifer Kita, who was Angel, Rino Nakasone, who was Music, and Mayuko Kitayama, who was Baby. So the Harajuku Girls were called the Harajuku Girls because they were named after a neighborhood in Tokyo that was a hotbed for youth counterculture fashion. A counterculture is a way of life instead of attitudes opposed to or at variance with the prevailing social norm. Japan culturally emphasizes the group more than the individual, and this can even be seen in the fashion, where it is common for people to have a uniform for school and for work. Naturally, this has led to groups of people rebelling against this uniformity in favor of personal self-expression. There are many different fashion styles within Harajuku, including Lolita, Goth, and Decora, to name a few. When you're from Anaheim and never traveled outside of your city until you're 21 years old, it was really crazy to go to Japan. My dad went there a lot because he worked with Yamaha motorcycles, so I had a fascination from a young age. When I got there and saw how fashion obsessed they were, I thought they were my people because my style was so unique. So, in case you didn't know, Gwen Stefani was really the last culture bender, master of most of the continents. She used to dip her hands in everybody's nachos, finding inspiration in, you know, multiple corners of the globe. Will say. Gwen has been criticized as a cultural appropriator. Despite that, she continues to stand 10 toes down and defend herself more so as a cultural appreciator than an appropriator. No matter her intent, Gwen Stefani, she's a white woman. I don't know if you noticed. She's a white woman and she's able to enjoy all the privileges of being white while being able to dip her toes into other cultures without having to experience any repercussions for being a part of those cultures, any consequences for being a part of those cultures, whether it's Asian, indigenous, black, or Hispanic. I'm telling you, she's the last culture bender. Not only does she not have to experience the negative aspects of white supremacy, she also makes money off of it. So like, think about it this way, right? An actual Japanese American person at that time, maybe, we could say hypothetically, maybe would not have been able to reach the level of success Gwen Stefani did, playing into their own cultural history, but Gwen Stefani can because she's white. Okay, yo, are we picking up what I'm putting down? Because she's white and therefore is palatable to more people. More people are down. Yeah. You get it. Even though her intent may have been positive, and I believe that it was, it doesn't mean that the things she did didn't cause any harm. The things that she was doing could reinforce stereotypes about those cultures. She doesn't necessarily have the proper context for why the things she's doing, the hairstyles, the fashion choices, the Harajuku Girls, she may not have context for why, you know, those things are a part of those cultures to begin with. In 2005, comedian / actress Margaret Cho wrote this on her website. I mean, racial stereotypes are really cute sometimes, and I don't want to bum everyone out by pointing out the minstrel show. I think it is totally acceptable to enjoy the Harajuku Girls because there are not that many other Asian people out there in the media really, so we have to take whatever we can get. At least it is a measure of visibility, which is much better than invisibility. Often for minorities when it comes to representation, I mean, sometimes it feels like you gotta just take what you can get. Let's just take the scraps we're given because it's better than nothing. So it is possible to have felt seen by the culture bending Gwen Stefani was doing while also being critical of it now. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. The truth is we only get to experience the Harajuku Girls superficially. In an article titled Gwenny Hana for Salon.com, Mihi An writes, she swallowed a subversive youth culture in Japan and barfed up another image of submissive, giggling Asian women. While aping a style that's supposed to be about individuality and personal expression, Stefani ends up being the only one who stands out. Yikes. Considering that the song lyrics are more on the vulnerable side, I mean, she's talking about aging, having an expiration date when it comes to being a pop star, when it comes to being a mother, and also considering that Anaheim, where Gwen is from, it sounds like it's not like a New York City type of place where there's lots of different fashion styles all over the place. It's not surprising that she would find inspiration in something that prizes expressing yourself fully through fashion and not conforming to the status quo. And so I see her intent with the inclusion of the Harajuku Girls. But critics of Stefani seem to be asking, was that worth pushing a superficial and stereotypical image of Japanese women. All right, now that we have that background on the girls, let's get back to the visuals. So after we get glimpses of Gwen laying in the maze with the chair, we see her having a conversation with herself in the top hat. Now, this kind of makes me think of Tweedledum and Tweedledee, those creepy little twins from the Alice in Wonderland movie. And the top hats also make me think of the Mad Hatter. I think when you see Gwen Stefani wearing these sky-high Christian Dior heels, we can assume that she's playing Alice in that moment. Now, the ruffles coming out of the back of this outfit, again, Andrea Lieberman, come to the front. It ends up giving her a sort of like otherworldly animal appearance, kind of like a horse's mane, you know, coming out the back, but make it fashion. British designer Alexander McQueen designed the skirt as part of his spring-summer 2002 collection titled Dance of the Twisted Bull. McQueen's fashion shows could often be described as theatrical, as he was inspired by performance art, and at times his collections were inspired by global cultures. The parallels between this designer and this music video are no coincidence, given that theatrics and being a magpie for world cultures was a part of Stefani's brand. This collection in particular was inspired by Spanish culture, including flamenco and bullfighting. Flamenco dresses were known for their ruffles, which added drama to the dance, while bullfighting is a dance of its own between animal and human. In any case, the conflict and coexistence of humans and animals takes center stage in Alice and on the catwalk. Conchita Centron, the most renowned female bullfighter, once said about bullfighting, "Within its small circle, one finds life, death, ambition, despair, success, failure, faith, desperation, valor, cowardliness, generosity, and meanness, all condensed into the actions of a single afternoon or even a single moment." These are themes Gwen Stefani is contending with on this song. The desire for motherhood, career, and the fear of failing combined with society's judgment. Perhaps music fame is a bullfight of its own. Okay, we also see Gwen in this tiny house with her legs and arms sticking out. Now, in the movie, the rabbit has Alice look for his gloves. She ends up going in the house. She drinks or eat something she's not supposed to. Again, you'd think she would have learned from, but whatever. She ends up growing with her arms and legs also sticking out of the rabbit's house. And the rabbit is like, OMG, I'm scared. Let me call my good friend, the dodo bird. The dodo bird comes. The dodo bird's like, hey, you know what can solve this problem? You know what can get rid of this monster? Let's burn the house down. A little fire, a little arson. You know what I mean? In the music video, when Gwen is in the tiny house, she has said that it represents that she's outgrown what she's done in the past. She has a fear of the unknown now that she has to work with new people, and she wants to stay where she's comfortable. The act of shrinking herself or making herself bigger is a huge theme as a creative or even just as a person. When Alice is too big, the animals around her think that she's a monster. For Gwen Stefani, these growing pains, they're just a part of her transition into a solo act. Outside the window of the house, she sees two Harajuku girls, and she's basically chasing them throughout this video. They're kind of like her North Star, and they always manage to stay just out of reach when she's in Wonderland. They are a huge part of her inspiration for this album, enough so that she made a whole bridge about them. You know, the part of the song where she goes, I can't wait to go back into Japan. All while this is happening, we have the time ticking in the studio, and the lyrics are writing themselves in that old English font. Here, see what I tell you. Times New Roman, please. Wingdings, ugh. Comic Sans MS, banal. Helvetica, rudimentary. Next, you see Gwen. She's wearing this blue gown, very Alice in Wonderland color scheme. At the time, the creative director for Christian Dior was John Galliano. He sat at the helm of this iconic fashion house for about 15 years, and even though he got a lot of controversy, so controversial, he was fired. He perhaps was the perfect designer for this music video, given that he is known for creating a lot of spectacle and fantasy on the catwalk, and he's also known for cultural appropriation, accusations, birds of a feather We should stick together. Anyways, Gwen was inspired by the Christian Dior Couture Autumn Winter 2004 collection and got to wear 2 of the gowns from the collection, including this blue one. Okay, now the entire collection was very regal, as Galliano was inspired by Austrian art and Austrian royalty, among other things. So Gwen sported a more opulent Alice look here, and then later on in the video wore a red gown very much like the Queen of Hearts. There were 3 Gwens standing along this hedge because the lyric she says here goes, like an echo pedal, you're repeating yourself. So I think it was a play on that. Her self-doubt is playing on loop in her mind. Alice's color scheme stands in direct contrast to the Queen of Hearts. In the animated film, Alice is a little girl, the Queen of Hearts is a grown woman. Alice is blonde, the Queen of Hearts has dark hair. Alice wears blue, the Queen wears red. Blue represents freedom, inspiration, tranquility, wisdom, imagination, freedom, inspiration. Did I say inspiration? I'm gonna say it again. Inspiration. While red represents anger and passion. And so the choice to have Gwen play both of these characters in the music video shows that she is her own worst enemy. How many creatives can relate to that feeling of knowing that you're the reason why the thing you wanted to do hasn't been done yet? So some of you clicked off this video because I said that, but I'm here to drag you at the beginning of the year so you get it together. You're welcome. Now that I've dragged you, can you please comment, like, and subscribe? Okay, don't forget to do that, okay? Let's move on to the caterpillar scene. The actor playing the caterpillar is wearing a headdress designed by Philip Tracy, who is a frequent collaborator of Alexander McQueen. The headdress was worn on the McQueen Spring/Summer 2001 runway. So in the movie, the caterpillar asks, "Who are you?" And Alice responds that she doesn't know. She's changed so many times since this morning. And girl, same. She's so relatable. Gwen Stefani has had a similar issue. She is changing and unsure where to go or what to do in this new phase. Eventually, the caterpillar in the movie turns into a butterfly and tells Alice, who is tiny at this point, that eating one side of the mushroom will make her taller, eating the other side of the mushroom will make her bigger. I mean, shorter. One side will make her taller, the other side will make her shorter. Yeah. If you think about it, the whole movie is Alice making herself bigger or shorter and then people's reactions to that. Sometimes reactions are negative and sometimes the reactions are neutral. Gwen is experiencing the same thing in her career and as a woman. She has all these aspirations and is making them smaller or bigger and dealing with other people's reactions to that. She wants to be a mom, but she has to start her pop solo career while she's still young and hot. These priorities are competing for her attention. Also, similar to how Alice is growing bigger, small, Gwen is trying on different styles in terms of collaborating with various people to find the right sounds for her album. In the next scene, Gwen Stefani, she's in like a greenhouse and she's crying. At this point, she's drowning in everyone's creativity, only to be saved by her inspirations, the Harajuku Girls. Okay, also in the greenhouse, there are these like chess pieces, you know, to kind of go back to the Queen of Hearts. You know, my sister, she loves a chess piece. She loves a playing card. She could really get feisty during an Uno game. Don't let there be an Uno game in the room when the Queen of Hearts is there. Because you're about to draw 4, draw 4, draw 4. She's gonna put 3 draw 4s down and you're just gonna have to draw 12 cards. You're scared to put a skip down. You're scared to change the color. What are the rules? The rules are just off with your head. Then in the video, the Queen of Hearts pushes Gwenalice, whatever. She gets pushed, and as she falls, we see glimpses of her running around the maze trying to catch the bunny, aka her inspirations, the Harajuku Girls. Alice at this point is wearing a tiara, maybe to symbolize that she and her enemy, the Queen of Hearts, have become one. Because remember I said she's her own worst enemy? That's why she's playing both parts. Or maybe she just wore it because wearing tiaras is fun. That could be, sure. In the movie, Disney movie 1956, Alice in Wonderland, Alice, you know, she stumbles upon the Mad Hatter's table. There's the Mad Hatter. There's the March Hare. There's the Dormouse. They're drinking tea. They're spilling tea, literally and metaphorically. In the music video, after she falls, she lands on the Mad Hatter's table. She stumbles upon the tea party wearing her Vivienne Westwood plaid corset. you know, her stockings with the white and the things and the hair. She sees her inspirations there. The Harajuku Girls, seated. The Caterpillar, seated. There's also a little girl at the table playing the Dormouse. Maybe that's supposed to represent Gwen's inner child, a younger version of herself. By the way, I think that little girl is Gwen's niece, Gwen Stefani. Don't ask me how much Googling I had to do to figure that out. Don't ask me. Don't ask. Because I'm not. Don't. It was a lot of Googling. It was a lot of Googling. Because this is the thing. Because, okay, tangent, I'm about to go in a spiral. I was watching another music video, Holla Back Girl, and this child was in the video, and I said, wait a minute, that's the same child from the other video. Now I'm wondering, who is this child? So then I'm Googling Gavin Rossdale, that's Gwen's ex-husband. I'm Googling, did he have a daughter before he married Gwen? Turns out he did, but he actually didn't know about that daughter. He was actually the godfather to his daughter, and then when the daughter was like a teen, she was like, hey, let's do a paternity test, and turns out her godfather was her father. But at this point, Gavin's already married to Gwen, and this child is damn near grown, and that's crazy. Then I googled if the No Doubt bandmates had kids, but none of them are in the right age range. Also, there was a lot of bandmates. I was like, oh my god. Whoa. Then I looked up for older brother / No Doubt founding member. Eric Stefani had kids. No, he didn't. But I did learn their other siblings had kids. Bada bing, bada boom. Before you know it, I see this photo and I said, Sherlock Holmes. What does this tangent have to do with the music video visuals? Nothing. Nothing. But I had to know, who is this child? Because I'm nosy. You could say I went down a rabbit hole. In the last part of the video, right? Gwen wakes up from her dream and she is back in the studio, except the 4 Harajuku girls are there. They're just kind of standing there blank faced while she's singing. The girls are wearing like school uniforms in neutral colors, along with pink and green headpieces, which I believe are Japanese kanzeshi. Y'all, disclaimer, if I get anything wrong, please don't come for me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I only speak English and I barely know that. Kanzeshi are hair accessories that are used in traditional Japanese hairstyles. Traditionally, those Japanese hairstyles were only worn by specific groups, such as geishas and brides. And now people are more likely to be wearing these headpieces with modern hairstyles. Gwen Stefani favored very storyline driven, sometimes fantastical, very visual heavy music videos, and Alice in Wonderland was the ideal backdrop. Although the subject matter of the song can be quite serious, the playful lyrics add a touch of nonsense that was perfectly complemented by Lewis Carroll's cast of kooky characters. Say that 10 times fast. Lewis Carroll's cast of kooky characters. Lewis Carroll's cast of kooky characters. Alice in Wonderland is still so popular after all these years, in part because of how visually rich it is. The colors, the playing cards, the animals, the clothes. There are many ways to interpret everything about it. When the album Love Angel Music Baby dropped in November 2004, some critics felt that Stefani had too many collaborators on the project. So her admitting that the solo work was the least, at the time, was the least her it's ever been, and she was drowning in others' creativity, ultimately affected the album listening experience for some people. Stefani was more of a singles artist than an album artist, meaning that she produced very notable individual songs. But if you listen to the album, it's a little more all over the place. Although her work today is looked at with a more critical, socially conscious eye, the singles she produced for this album back then still sound great today. It's giving timeless. And I think the general internet sentiment for her use of the Harajuku Girls seems to be like, you know, this is how things were back in the day. People could do stuff like this. But if Gwen Stefani were coming up today in 2024, that would not fly. Nope. She would have had to have executed that whole concept very differently for it to have worked here and today. Anyways, let me know what you thought of the What You Waiting For music video. It's been about 20 years since we got that era, that album, that song. So let's reflect. If you want me to do any more music video breakdowns, leave suggestions in the comments. Absolutely.